£1 million worth of Whitehall effort, emails, WhatsApps, a catalogue of a short ambassadorial career, but also a chronicle of a premiership it probably hastened to its end. Amidst all the typed messages, one handwritten note from Peter Mandelson to the then Foreign Secretary David Lammy, weeks before his appointment to the US Embassy job. If you were minded to appoint me, I would make sure you never regret it.
I regret appointing him. If I knew then what I know now, he would never have been anywhere near government.
Posing in harmony in happier times in Washington, Peter Mandelson maintained private contact with many in Keir Starmer's government, the tone often a world away from his gushing public endorsements.
Keir, in everything we do, we're going to be right behind you and everything you're doing for Britain.
The chunkiest online correspondence with a cabinet minister that's survived the delete button is with the current Welfare Secretary, Pat McFadden. As the results from last year's local elections came in, Peter Mandelson WhatsApped Pat McFadden, "Keir lacks verve," as does the cabinet as a whole. Pat McFadden messaged our man in Washington, his old colleague from the Blair years, "Every meeting I have is who can we tax in order to pay benefits to others? They're asking the wrong questions." By the summer, Keir Starmer and his team were starting to wonder where things had gone so wrong. Pat McFadden messaged Peter Mandelson, "I can't make head nor tail of Morgan McSweeney, then Chief of Staff. Latest note, 7 interlocking problems." Peter Mandelson replies, "He, Morgan McSweeney, seemed to be saying to me last night that he has no faith in Keir's ability to change number 10. Number 10 is beleaguered and bereft. None of them really know what Keir thinks or wants. In fact, most of them don't think Keir knows what he wants.
He is a leader of great integrity, and he's also our proven leader of our country.
The government withheld Peter Mandelson's controversial vetting documents from publication. The man sacked by Keir Starmer as head of the Foreign Office said in April that protections were put in place to cope with security concerns.
We put in place the mitigations and clearance was granted.
The nearest thing to such mitigations in these documents is in a letter from the former head of Foreign Office Security. Private sector engagements are being managed by Human Resources Department and Legal Directorate. With regard to personal conduct, I understand Lord Mandelson has received a letter informing him of his responsibilities. Matters pertaining to his overseas contacts will certainly be reviewed.
It means so much to me to be His Majesty's ambassador in the United States. It's literally a dream come true.
You learn little from these messages planning the Prime Minister's trip to Washington last year. 3 asterisks show where material has been withheld. The government says redacted to protect national security or international relations.
There's then the matter of redactions. Acres and acres of white space. Constellation of asterisks. Perhaps all too appropriate for a Labour document, Mr. Speaker.
I can also confirm to the House that no government minister or special advisor has determined any of the redactions themselves. The redaction process has been overseen by Cabinet Office officials and, where relevant, in agreement with the ISC.
That a reference to Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee, which signed off this publication but expressed concern about the deleted WhatsApps that got away. Peter Mandelson, it's believed on the advice of his lawyers, did not submit his WhatsApps for publication. He remains under police investigation for misconduct in public office. He denies wrongdoing.
Well, the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Labour MP Dame Emily Thornberry, joins us from Parliament's Central Lobby. Thanks very much for joining us this evening. What do you think these messages tell us?
So I'm focusing on what I've always focused on, which is how did this man get this job? I mean, given everything that we know, given what happened with the developed vetting, given that they said that he was a risk and that he shouldn't be appointed, how did he get the job? he went from being an outlier, someone who didn't look like with much chance of getting a job. He didn't get on with Keir Starmer. I mean, obviously these papers make that clear. He was applying for another job. He was trying to be Chancellor of Oxford. He had all of these connections and this history which were not good, and yet he ended up in this job where he would get access to top secret documents, an extremely sensitive job that needed to be where he needed to have vetting, and somehow or other everything was all right. Now, when we asked questions about that in the committee, we said, how was it that when vetting said that he was a man who should not be given this job, you nevertheless gave him the job? And they said, oh, no, it was because we introduced these things called mitigations. So I have spent the day looking for these mitigations, and I can't find any of them. Any of these, oh, well, he'll be safe so long as he doesn't speak to any, I don't know, whatever.
These messages, as they have been revealed so far, don't answer your critical questions. I wonder, do you share the Conservatives' concern about the messages that haven't been released?
So I don't think it's the messages. I think it is that if you're going to decide that somebody can be safe to be our ambassador in Washington, so long as certain things are put in place, where is the note of what it was? What did you tell him that he had to do or he wasn't allowed to do? Or is it, which I fear may be the case, that you just wanted to brush over all of these concerns because you were under such pressure from Number 10, and I don't think from Keir Starmer, frankly, but, from Number 10 to appoint him, and so you just brushed over it. I mean, if they can show me the mitigations, if they can show me that they took it seriously, then that's a different matter. But I've been through an awful lot of papers, and I can't find it. I asked today whether it was because the police had it, and I have not had a straight answer.
And what you do get, again, from these messages, this sort of chatty, he's well-connected still, he's passing comment on how the government is operating. This is a confident man at work, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's always been like that. He's always been like that. And you can see in the documents as well at the beginning that he's pushing this idea that, oh, I'm a member of the House of Lords, I don't need to have any vetting at all. Oh, I'm quite sure that because I'm a Privy Councillor, I don't need to have anybody else look into my background. Well, they did. And when they did, they said he shouldn't get the job.
But there's still questions for the Prime Minister, though, aren't there?
Well, I think the main question for the Prime Minister really is, I appreciate that being Prime Minister makes you an extremely busy man, but is it not right that someone came to you, I presume Morgan McSweeney, and said, look, you're really busy, I'll take responsibility for this, let me do this, I'll do the ambassador, you go off and do the other things. And Keir Starmer gave him too much rope, gave him too much latitude, and didn't do enough supervision of what happened next. That, in my view, is the criticism of the Prime Minister.
Just very briefly.
How did this happen? How did this happen that we had someone who was so completely inappropriate ended up as our ambassador?
Briefly, if you would, so far perhaps no smoking gun, but a sort of continued corrosive impact on Sir Keir Starmer himself, this criticism that he just wasn't on top of the job, he just couldn't do it. That doesn't help him right now, does it?
I mean, listen, it doesn't really matter what Peter Mandelson says. He has a history of making catty remarks. He makes catty remarks in WhatsApps. That's what he does. It's kind of his stock and trade. I don't think that really matters at the moment. I think what matters at the moment is why was it that he was given the job in the first place.
Dame Emily Thornberry, thanks very much for talking to us. Thank you.